Спасибо.
Я только
Thank you.
один запалила. Счастья, здоровья, радости. Надо еще было. Я не успела еще.
Привет, greetings from Odessa, Mama in Ukraine. Now, you're probably aware of the famed beauty of the damsels of this country, the Ukrainian women. Their beauty is infamous, maybe, the siren call and the port here of Odessa, luring in many a foreign guy to this country, hoping to ensnare a Slavic beauty. So how come have I seen so few foreign guys be successful on their romantic adventures here in Ukraine? Getting towards the end of 2021, about to enter 2022, and I think if you are considering to come to Ukraine, open to a romantic relationship with a local beauty, then this is the video for you to watch. I'm going to outline 5 reasons why you won't get the beautiful women in Ukraine. Поехали! So the first big reason that you're not going to get the beautiful girls when you come here to Ukraine is, as a foreign guy, you're automatically put in one of 3 boxes. Now the first one is the sex tourist box. So unfortunately here in Ukraine, there are many sex tourists. These are guys who come here just for cheap prostitution or prostitution in general. And if a Ukrainian girl who's beautiful meets you and knows nothing else about you, she may automatically put you in that box, and that's not highly coveted as a match for her. So the second box is the wife hunter box. Now this normally affects guys who are a bit older. They've come on the 2-week romance tour to meet 40 women who apparently are waiting for a white knight to save them from dastardly Ukraine and the awful life that people have here, and they are also seen as pretty much low value desperados coming to Ukraine because they don't have many options at home, if any at all. As I said, that normally affects the older guys, but also affecting the younger guys is being labeled, I'm going to call him Digital Dave. He's the typical digital nomad that has started to come to Ukraine in the last, say, 2 years. I know it's a bit of a gray area. I mean, you can make millions as a digital nomad as well, of course, but in general, you have this phenomenon, especially in Kiev, of guys who making somewhere between maybe $1,000 to $3,000 a month, live cheaply enough in Kiev. It's good value to live there. Obviously, everything costs about, a fifth of the price of being in London. But for the beautiful girls of the city, they are not seen as particularly high socioeconomic status, as I said, and not interesting because, well, they're there coming in for a few months. So there you see, I think the sex tourist box affects guys of all ages. Then the wife hunter tends to be guys who are a bit older, we'll say 35 plus. And then the Digital Dave may be a nice guy and everything, but for the hotties of Ukraine, usually guys between 20 to 35, not considered a great catch for the top tier girls here. So the second reason is too little time. Now, when I say this, I always feel like I'm being a bit facile or simplistic, like, duh, the more time you have, the more like you are to be successful. But it really is that, let me put it to you mathematically. If you generate like 5 good options in 2 weeks, so you go on 5 dates where you had a connection with a girl, I do 5 options of the 2 weeks. What is it going to be like if you stay for 2 months, 6 months, 12 months, 2 years in the country? Well, literally, it should just expand like that. Instead of 5 options, you're going to have 10, 20, 40, 50. And, amongst that, the quality obviously can improve. And the longer you stay, probably going to get out of a big mistake that a lot of foreigners do, which is that they are overwhelmed by the beauty if the local women here, because basically we'll just put it on a point scale. The girls jump 2 points on average, probably from where you're coming from, and that can overwhelm guys. And then as a result, whenever they go on a date with a girl they feel is really attractive, they mess it up by pedestalizing her and basically being really, really needy because they feel she's such a goddess. And if you live here, that starts to wear off very quickly, because you become kind of like local level in terms of how you appreciate beauty here. So that is another big reason why you need to spend more time. So the next big obstacle you're going to have is if you're one of those guys who is relying on the fact that you are a foreigner coming to Ukraine, presumably from the West, or you're one of those guys who's a pretty boy, used to relying on his looks to seduce the ladies. So I'm going to call this kind of guy Pretty Boy Ben, just picking a name that has a little bit of alliteration. And the first thing about foreigners, about relying on being a foreigner here, you are probably about 25 years too late to the party to get the full value on that. But in any case, you're definitely 5 years too late, because you did get some value, automatic perceived value, for being a foreigner here, like a +1, at least maybe 5 years ago. But nowadays, not getting any bonus points for being a foreigner in Ukraine, because you are not a rare commodity. There are a lot of foreign guys to choose from, and also of course Ukrainian girls are visa free to Schengen. They travel a lot more than they were able to definitely 5 years ago, before they had a visa free Middle East. So basically being a foreigner, especially for a hottie in Kiev or Odessa, not automatically going to do anything for you. So Pretty Boy Ben is a type of guy I come across quite a bit moaning here in Ukraine, because he is used to being able to rely on his looks because he's a pretty boy. And when it comes to Ukraine, it's not just Ukraine, it's basically most of the former Soviet Union. The girls really don't rate looks as a high priority for them when they're looking for a guy. They actually have an expression in Russian, which is that мужчина должен быть немного красивее, чем обезьяна, which translates as a man must be a little bit better looking than a monkey. So that's really the bar. As long as the guy doesn't look quite like he's an ape, it's good to go. Definitely that is a big issue for a lot of guys who come here thinking that, they can buy a Ukrainian girl for a price of a sandwich. I actually heard a Danish guy once say that. Absolutely ridiculous. Basically, no hottie in Ukraine is really going to care about you being a foreigner, and also if you happen to be good looking. So that is the third reason if you are one of those guys. So the next reason why you're not going to be able to slay many hotties on a trip here to Ukraine is you lack the real man mindset that is essential here in Ukraine. Basically, guys who come from the West are conditioned, because they live in a society where being considerate and polite, especially to women, where there's obviously a lot more emancipation, means you have to behave differently. And that doesn't work very well. It doesn't translate very well to success here. Unless you are the real man, being assertive. I say it in so many of my videos here. Leading, have the man with the plan, then you're going to come across as weak and incompetent, and neither of those are particularly attractive to Ukrainian women. You have to be able to understand that, which is the Slavic mentality, intelligence part of it, the equation. Often I talk about the killer combo, which is when you combine that real man mindset with what is actually charming. Well, I think it's more charming about many Westerners in terms of being playful, etc. And actually you can be a better combination, the killer combo. And that's a nice segue into I think the last reason number 5, which is basically you're not going to be the complete package. And that's a mixture of obviously having that killer combo, because you can actually use being a foreigner to your advantage. Just don't rely that's going to automatically get you much value here. The issue is that you don't really have enough socioeconomic value. That is more important here. It's kind of the converse of them not wanting the pretty boy, or just because you're a foreigner to get, a green card girl just to get out. They already left. The attractive women here in Ukraine, they have many options, and they want a high value guy to complement their status here as a high value woman, mainly based on their looks, not entirely. And you need to be able to project that. And it's not just about having money. That's what I see with clients who come here who, they do many of these things together, obviously. They don't rely on being a foreigner, but they make the right connections in, say, Kiev or Odessa. And they understand the mentality. Maybe they invest in a trip with me somewhere. As part of it, then they moved, joined one of my programs. And, I'm actually now considering setting up a special club in Kiev, a networking club, because I think that's kind of the next level for the guys who are on my Slavic Utopia Secrets program. So definitely make sure that you're on my mailing list as well for that, because we'll have the Kiev club starting pretty soon. So that's my assessment of your chances of meeting and successfully dating the beautiful women of Ukraine. Now, it has been said by one of my consulting clients, Connor, you make this sound so hard. What's the solution? Well, one of the solutions is to come here to Ukraine, move. You can try and do it by yourself. Just come here and, already at least the cost of living will definitely be cheaper for you. But if you want to, on top of that, build your social circle, know how to obviously invest properly in real estate, get your visa and stuff sorted out so you can stay here as long as you want, and obviously then on top of it, meet the beautiful women successfully here in Ukraine, well, it's going to take you a long time, like it took me, more or less a decade. So if you'd like to do that a bit quicker and actually have a successful dating life here in Ukraine and completely smash it in terms of lifestyle, and on top of it actually get that soft feeling of freedom that has been so dramatically taken away in the West in 2020 and 2021, then I have new coaching programs for you, and I've decided to call it Consigliere Connor, because one of my coaching clients, he referred to me as his consigliere, his advisor here in Ukraine, his insider. And down below, it's on demand. You will get direct access to me virtually via our regular one-to-one coaching calls, where I'm going to drill into you the real man mindset that you need to be successful and actually meet and successfully date the beautiful women of Ukraine. On top of that, you're going to actually get access to me to troubleshoot any issues that come up, because over WhatsApp you'll be able to have direct contact with me and ask me those questions. And I find it super useful with the guys who are already in the program, because they're out, they had a date the night before, they're about to meet the girl again. They can just write me or leave me a voicemail, and then I get back to them so that they get that almost in real time. It's as close as you can get to actually doing this without having me in person. And that's another option, of course, to live the Czar experience for me, and I always have an application for that down below. So it is a beautiful Indian summer in Scam Central, Odessa, Mama. I'm going to go out and just have a really nice walk here in the center along Primorske Boulevard, just at the Colonnade, and then later on meet up with some local friends and have a nice hookah or shisha in one of the beautiful gardens here. And you could enjoy that as well if you come to Ukraine with this fantastic weather that we're having on an Indian summer's evening in September. So see you very soon in the next video. Do побачення. До свидания. Ciao, ciao.
Czar Experience.